Mom saw that I earn 3,000 a month and still can't find a partner. She arranged for me a boxcut wife in return. Boxcut 168. Never comes home. She even threw me an unlimited black card to spend as I please. To avoid disturbing her date with her white moonlight, I consciously took the black card to the club and kept spending. At that moment, in a luxurious private room, Su Yanbing's phone rang. She casually glanced at the screen afterward. She picked up her glass and slowly took a sip. Sitting next to her, Lu Jinian watched her. His eyes contained love and restraint. Yanbing, today is your wedding anniversary. Why are you here? What will Haoming think of me? Su Yanbing's voice was quite diplomatic. You don't need to worry about how he rents it. Just after she finished speaking, the phone rang again. This time she picked it up to take a look. Your account spending is 288,880 yuan. Your account spending is 3 million yuan. It's the first time in 2 years of marriage that I've used her card. Su Yanbing ran her finger across the screen. She smirked slightly. Lu Jinian pressed his lips together and replied, Yanbing, why don't you just go back? She opened her mouth. Su Yanbing hadn't spoken yet. Another message popped up. Your account has been charged 188,888 yuan. For the first time, I experienced the joy of spending without looking at the price. I enjoyed being treated like a god. My suppressed desire to spend for over 20 years became increasingly uncontrollable. This caused Su Yanbing's phone to ring intermittently. She didn't check again. By the time the meal was finished, her phone had rung 7 or 8 times. Only after settling the bill did she take a look. She was about to put away her phone. Then, she saw that her best friend was calling. Wen Mumu's voice was unmistakably cheerful. Sister Yanbing, I just saw your husband come in. He ordered 7 women in one go. If you don't come over soon, I'm afraid I'll end up with a grassy meadow on my head. Su Yanbing was so angry she laughed directly. Yu Haoming will go to the club. He even ordered 7 women. How is this possible? Miu Miu sent her a photo. Don't tell me your husband dressed like this today. I almost didn't recognize him. In the photo, the man had exquisite and handsome features. He wore a black suit jacket that looked very luxurious. Wen Mumu continued to tease. Can you recognize that this is your husband? Su Yanbing felt blind once again. How could this possibly be Yu Haoming? At this point, Lu Jinian continued speaking. Yanbing, why don't you just go back? I can go watch the movie by myself. Su Yanbing put away her phone. Unmoved, she accompanied Lu Jinian to watch the movie. Lu Jinian posted on his moments. To commemorate the premiere of his first film. 20 minutes later, Su Yanbing received a card transaction notification. Yu Haoming deposited 1 million at a certain entertainment club. She couldn't sit still any longer. She left the cinema with a cold expression. On the other side, in the private room of the club, I relaxed on the sofa, enjoying a glass of wine that costs over 100,000. 7 stunningly beautiful girls, attentive and caring, were surrounding me, massaging my shoulders and legs. I couldn't help but squint my eyes in comfort. This service is simply heaven on earth. Remembering how not long ago, I was earning only 3,000 a month and stayed up all night reading novels, and ended up becoming the namesake male supporting character with a love-struck mind in the book. The original owner was born into a top-notch wealthy family, surrounded by stars. Yet he insisted on chasing the female lead, Su Yanbing, for 5 years. But in Su Yanbing's eyes, there was only her white moonlight. In the end, under the pressure of both parents, Su Yanbing had no choice but to accept the arranged marriage and marry me. After the wedding, Su Yanbing often didn't come home. Even at home, the original owner was treated as a decoration. The original owner couldn't stand being neglected and started acting up. In the end, it led to a tragic outcome of family destruction. It's like playing a good hand and completely ruining it. I clicked my tongue and shook my head. Faced with the club manager's sales pitch, I waved my hand generously. I recharged 1 million using Su Yanbing's card. Su Yanbing pushed open the door to the private room. She saw me fondling a woman's thigh, unable to let go. The touch was nice. How long have you been practicing this? The girls eagerly showed off their long legs. Big brother, I have them too. Do you want to feel it? Big brother, I have them too. Just look at theirs. I'm watching this and almost getting a nosebleed. The life of the rich is truly enjoyable. I was just about to reach out again. Suddenly, there was a loud bang. Right after, a sharp reprimand came through. Get out of here. I didn't expect Su Yanbing to come. The good thing was interrupted. I reluctantly squeezed the waist of the little white flower. You all go out first. I'll look for you when my brother is free. Su Yanbing's face was as cold as ice. It felt like it could kill a cow. Soon the private room was quiet, leaving only the 3 of us. I sat on the sofa, sizing her up. She truly was the woman the original owner fell in love with at first sight. This face instantly made the other girls appear dull in comparison. She just stood there with her hands on her hips. The charm she radiated made people drool. Just as I was getting engrossed in watching, I heard Su Yanbing's angry voice. You're using my money to cheat on me here. Yu Haoming. Do you really think I wouldn't dare to do anything to you? Su Yanbing coldly sized me up. With sharp eyebrows and cold eyes, her nose was high and prominent. Her features were deep and well-defined. The button at her collar was undone, revealing a sexy Adam's apple. She had never seen such a handsome Yu Haoming before. Moreover, he showed no signs of being flustered at all. He was completely different from the man who had gone crazy with jealousy 2 hours ago. It was like comparing 2 different people. I said confidently. What do you mean, your money? We are husband and wife. Isn't your money my money? You can spend money on your white moonlight for entertainment. Why can't I spend money to find someone to keep me company? I'm not afraid of her at all. The book repeatedly depicts Su Yanbing's dislike for the original host. It's reached a point where just touching her is nauseating. In short, her touching me is equivalent to self-harm. Su Yanbing laughed in anger. Stop pretending here. You deliberately used my card to create such a scene. Don't you just want to make me look bad? I looked up at her. I gently held her hand. So you left Lu Jinian to come over here. Does that mean I'm more important to you than Lu Jinian? Su Yanbing's expression instantly turned colder. I have said before. Don't push your luck with me. This is the last time. If I see you like this again, then our marriage will also come to an end. After saying that, she disgustedly pulled away from me. She picked up a tissue nearby to wipe her hands. Just as it is written in the book. She despises any physical contact with me. I almost chuckled out loud. I rubbed my chin. I sat back down on the sofa, legs stretched out. She wouldn't even let me touch her. I've long since lost any desire for this marriage. Now, throw the divorce agreement over here. If I hesitate for even a second, Ji Haoming, will be nothing but a fool. Su Yanbing paused her movement and glanced at me. A smile slowly spread at the corners of her mouth. Divorce. Are you sure? You were so devoted when you married her back then. Just now, you looked so eager for her. It's a huge joke to hear divorce come out of this man's mouth. My gaze lingered on her face for a moment before moving down, finally resting on her long legs. Either you let me touch you, or we get a divorce. Su Yanbing's face instantly darkened. She called the assistant right in front of me. Draft a divorce agreement. Deliver it to the house tomorrow morning. I picked up the unfinished drink beside me. I finished the drink without wasting it and set the glass down. Then I stood up. You chose this. Don't regret it. Su Yanbing's beautiful willow-like brows furrowed. Just as she was about to say something, I completely ignored her and turned to leave. Su Yanbing stood there blankly, watching. It became increasingly clear that I was drunk. That's why I dared to challenge her and mention divorce, which was unusual for me. When I got home, I went straight upstairs to my room. Su Yanbing looked at Ji Haoming, who completely ignored her. It wasn't until my figure disappeared that I realized. I sat down on the sofa. The man who wants to divorce her tonight appeared in my mind. I couldn't help but chuckle. She'll want to see what it looks like when the divorce agreement is thrown in front of me tomorrow. With that thought, Su Yanbing got up and went upstairs. She paused as she passed my door. I could hear my voice coming from inside. Today is a good day. Everything I hoped for can come true. Tomorrow will be another good day. Precious time cannot be wasted. Su Yanbing listened as I drunkenly howled like a ghost. She stopped to try to stop me from going crazy. She turned the doorknob only to find I had locked the door. The man who usually tries to sleep with her as soon as she gets home. Now, he has actually locked the door. My singing continued to echo from inside the door. I believe I am who I am. I believe in tomorrow. I believe youth has no horizon. Su Yanbing looked at me, drunk and out of control. In the end, she turned and walked away. The room I'm living in is the master bedroom. Because Su Yanbing refused to stay with the original owner, she chose to sleep in the guest room instead. Now this place has become the original owner's room alone. I looked at the large and luxurious room. The wardrobe was filled with an array of fine clothes. There were various expensive luxury watches. Singing happily, Yan. Comfortably soaking in the large bathtub meant for two. Finally lying on the comfortable and soft king-size bed. It felt like a dream. So beautiful it didn't feel real. The next morning, Su Yanbing got up. She saw that there was no breakfast prepared at the dining table like usual. And I wasn't there, waiting for her with eager eyes. She glanced at my room. She couldn't help but smirk. As expected, this man was scared after sobering up. I want to be a turtle hiding in its shell. I remember how I was so determined to get a divorce last night. She immediately tugged at the corner of her mouth. She threw the divorce agreement on the coffee table. I have never slept on such a comfortable bed. So I ended up sleeping until I naturally woke up, which was already noon. I saw that I was still in the luxurious room. I confirmed that I was indeed wearing clothes. I once again reviewed the plot. In the book, our marriage lasted less than 3 years. That means in less than a year from now, Su Yanbing will bankrupt my family and make me leave with nothing. The book briefly touches on the depiction of business wars. I don't even know what methods Su Yanbing is using. But the scent of the rich. But looking at the lives of the rich. No matter what, I cannot let my family go bankrupt. I got up, tidied myself, and went downstairs. I saw the divorce agreement on the coffee table. I immediately picked up the pen and signed it. Even hesitating for a second feels disrespectful towards the divorce. Then I took out Su Yanbing's card from my pocket. I placed it on top of the divorce agreement. Then I took the original owner's important things and headed home. My mom saw me coming back. She immediately put down what she was doing and came over. Ming, why are you coming home at this time? Did Su Yanbing kick you out? I smiled and shook my head. Really, I didn't. My mom clearly didn't believe me. Usually at this time, I'm busy delivering lunch to Su Yanbing. How would I remember them? My mom came forward and took my hand, saying, then why didn't you call ahead before coming back? So I could have the staff prepare your favorite dishes in advance. When did you change your hairstyle? It looks really good. This outfit also looks nice. You look incredibly handsome. My mom looked at me with her eyes filled with affection. While talking to me, she called for Zhang Ma to prepare a few dishes that I loved. Every move of hers radiated the joy of seeing her son. I'll call your dad. Tell him to come home for lunch too. I didn't have time to stop her. My mom's call had already gone through. I took the opportunity to look around the house. The more I looked, the better I felt. My mom ended the call. Then she started to fuss over me again. It was evident that the original owner married Su Yanbing. My mom had always worried that I wasn't happy. Haoming, you must tell your dad and me if something's wrong. We will always be your support. I looked at this beautiful and warm mom before me. I thought of her unfortunate ending in the book. I couldn't help but step forward to hug her. I vowed in my heart to rewrite their ending. My mother's body is stiff. How long had it been since her son embraced her like this? My mom's body stiffened. I've caused you worry. It won't happen again in the future. Just listen to what I say. My mom's eyes instantly filled with tears. Ever since I got married, I've been coming back less often. Even when I do come back, it's always because of Su Yanbing. She once said that a forced relationship bears no sweetness. But my son insists he will marry no one but her. They are in the same department. They were always held in high regard. They were always coddled. I want to marry Su Yanbing. So they agreed with me. After the marriage, they saw I wasn't happy. They watched my pride and light fade away little by little. Watching my world seemed only left with Su Yanbing, who began to blur the lines of right and wrong. As a mother, she felt the pain in her heart. I could hear the sob in her voice. I saw my mom's eyes redden with tears. I reached out to wipe her tears. I smiled at her and said, "Mom, look at me now, I'm okay." My mom looked at her son with a proud gaze. She felt that I had changed a lot this time I came back. It felt like I had returned to a time long ago. When the meal was ready, my dad came back too. He also brought Ji-Yu Warner back with him. Ji-Yu Warner is the daughter of my dad's good friend. She is 3 years older than the original character. After her parents passed away, she lived with her grandmother. But it was difficult for the elderly to raise children. The Ji-Yu family took her in to care for her as their daughter. They supported her in both life and studies. Until she graduated from university. During university, she worked at Ji-Yu Group. After graduation, she even became a senior executive at the company. I secretly glanced at her. And our eyes met when she looked over. In the book, the original master always regarded her as an older sister. When I was pursuing Su Yanbing, I often talked about how much I liked Su Yanbing in front of her. And then I sought her advice and plans. The way she presented herself before the original character was that of an older sister. She spoiled me, protected me, and helped me. She never crossed the line. Even the readers didn't think much of it, until I learned that Su Yanbing and I were divorced. Ji-Yu Warner came to find me. She saw the scene of my car accident. She trembled as she held me, looking at me covered in blood. Her eyes instantly turned red. She kept wiping the blood from the corner of my mouth. She said in a trembling voice, "Hao Ming, I regret it. I regret not stopping you back then." The deep affection in Ji-Yu Warner's eyes seemed like an unmelting fog. At this moment, I didn't want to hide it anymore. She wanted me to know. She liked me for many years. She desperately wanted to keep me. But no matter how she tried, she couldn't hold on to me. She could only watch my life gradually fading away before her. It was also at that moment that I felt both love and hate for her. At that moment, my mom smiled and approached. Warner also came. I also greeted her. "Sister Warner." Ji-Yu Warner looked at me. The words were laced with a hint of fondness. "Aren't you busy delivering her lunch every day? How could you bear to come back at noon?" I smiled and shook my head. "On such a hot day. She thinks it's too much trouble for me to deliver lunch. She won't let me deliver it anymore." As soon as these words came out, not only Ji-Yu Warner, even my parents, who were speaking, turned to look at me. Their disbelief was obvious. Indeed, the ones who care about me the most don't believe that Su Yanbing would treat me well. Seeing this, I looked at Ji-Yu Warner and changed the subject. "Sister Warner, how has the company been lately?" Hearing this, Ji-Yu Warner couldn't help but glance at me. "We are currently negotiating a few big projects. If we secure them, the company can reach another level." I looked at her with confusion. Taking on a few big projects. What if the funds can't be rotated in time? The financial chain could break. The Su family would remain indifferent again. Ji-Yu Warner smiled and said, "A few big projects. The company can handle." I shook my head and looked at her seriously. "I think the current market environment isn't very good. The most important thing for the company is to seek stability. It is necessary to ensure there is sufficient cash flow to cope with the risks the company may face." I can't say it directly, so I can only hint at it. Ji-Yu Warner looked at me. There was a hint of scrutiny in her gaze. "Hao Ming, when did you become interested in the company's matters?" I realized that the original owner never cared about the company's affairs. I stroked my chin and glanced at Ji-Yu Warner. I still couldn't help but remind her again about the project. "You and my dad need to think carefully, especially considering the project, whether the potential risks can be borne." Ji-Yu Warner looked at me. She seemed to want to read something from my face. "Did you hear something from Su Yanbing? Trying to make us give up the competition." Hand the project over to her. A typical love-struck brain. In the past, I often had my family help the Su family, suddenly wanting to stop them from taking the project. It's normal for Ji-Yu Warner to think like this. I shook my head and said, "No. I've been having this dream recently. I dreamt that our family business went bankrupt. So I'm really worried." Ji-Yu Warner fell silent. But it was clear she didn't believe me. After hesitating for a while, I glanced at my parents not far away. I leaned closer and raised my hand to cover my mouth. Actually, I secretly heard Su Yanbing say she wanted to bring down the Ji-Yu family. After saying that, I pulled back. Then I noticed Ji-Yu Warner's ears turned red. I didn't expect that I could tease her like this. I awkwardly pretended not to see. I lowered my voice to explain. "I'm afraid my parents can't handle it. I don't dare to tell them. I don't understand the company's matters. This is something I can only leave to you." Ji-Yu Warner leaned back on the sofa. She casually pinched her ear and looked at me. "What about you, Hao Ming?" "I'm planning to." I didn't have a chance to say. My mom came over, calling us to eat. I looked at the table full of delicious food. Instantly, my mood improved. My mom served me some food. "Eat more. You've lost weight lately." I looked at the table of tasty dishes. I swallowed. I haven't had home-cooked meals in too long. That's why I've lost weight. Once I stay at home for a few days, I'll definitely gain it back. My mom heard me say this. She kept serving me food. If you want home-cooked meals, from now on, Mom will have someone deliver it to you every day. I waved my hand. I'll be living at home from now on. For a moment, my parents and Gu Wanner all stopped what they were doing and looked at me. I also paused. I looked at them seriously. Mom and Dad. Sister Wanner. I'm planning to divorce Su Yanbing. I used to think that as long as I tried hard, I could make her fall in love with me. But now I know. Matters of the heart can't be forced. I don't want to love her anymore. I just want to come back and be with you all now. I spoke very casually. There's no sadness or reluctance. But the original owner's feelings for Su Yanbing are too deep. In the eyes of the Gu family, it is deeply rooted. My parents are looking at me. They don't believe me when I say I can let go. Why aren't you speaking? You don't dislike me, do you? You don't want me to come back and be a burden, right? Seeing me say this, my mom reacted and smiled with joy. How could that be? You can come back to be with Mom. Mom is so happy she can't keep up. My dad picked up his phone and sent to my card another 10 million. If you want to come back, then come back. The family can support you for 10 lifetimes. Looking at my parents in front of me, I was somewhat moved. In the book, the Gu family's bankruptcy situation was, my dad couldn't stand the influence of his own daughter-in-law being the mastermind. High blood pressure caused a cerebral hemorrhage. Falling into a coma has left me a vegetable. My mom can't stand this twotone situation. Depression became a disease, and in the end, I ended it myself. I want to change all of this. I also serve food to them. I was just about to put down my chopsticks. A faint voice rang out. What about mine? Gu Wanner has been looking at me for some time now. With a bit of jealousy on her face, she is competing with her parents for their affection. I glanced at her. I served her another piece of meat. On the other side, the Su group. The little assistant walked into the Kai office with documents. Su-hee. The sir is not coming to deliver food today. Su Yanbing looked at the time on her wrist. Normally at this hour, I would have delivered food to her long ago. Turns out, she was afraid I'd divorce him. She didn't even dare to serve herself food. She raised her eyes and cast a cold glance at the little assistant. You're still addicted to eating. Do you want me to call and ask for you? The little assistant quickly shook his head. No, no need. I was just saying it casually. Actually, every meal delivered ends up in her stomach. After a while, you get used to it. In the end, the little assistant was really curious. Couldn't help but ask a question. Sir, this is the first time you didn't come to deliver food. Looking at Su-hee, who didn't seem happy, she quickly picked up the signed documents and left. Su Yanbing rarely disturbed her mother for a day. After finishing work, the image of Gu Haoming in a suit from last night flashed in her mind. His eyes showed he wanted to divorce her. Su Yan tugged at the corner of her mouth. She went straight to the bar. As soon as she entered the private room, she saw several people looking at her. She sat down on the sofa. Looking at the few people who were still staring at her, she immediately wore a dark expression. Why are you all staring at me? Are you sick? Her best friend, Mimi, went over. Her best friend, Miu Miu, walked over. Tentatively asked, why isn't Gu Haoming following you anymore? Su Yan cast a cold glance at them. Weren't you the ones who used to be most annoyed by him following? Now that he's not coming, isn't that just perfect? Don't be pathetic. Lin Xinyao observed the situation carefully. She poured a glass of wine for Su Yan. We're primarily worried about you. Afraid that others won't care about you anymore. You're starting to care about him again. As Su Yan's best friend, they understand better than anyone where Su Yan used to be. Gu Haoming would follow her there. Gu Haoming wouldn't even go to the club to look for a princess. He definitely wouldn't leave Su Yan behind and go traveling in Haicheng carefree. Su Yan's entire face turned cold. If your eyes are useless, then just donate them all. Miu Miu let out a laugh. As long as you don't care about him, that's fine. Come on, come on. Let's all have a drink together. To celebrate that Yan Bing has briefly escaped the sea of suffering, Su Yanbing raised her glass to drink. She didn't pay any attention to what they were saying at all. Until, while drinking, Lin Xinyao said while holding her phone, Sister Yanbing, although Gu Haoming's forced marriage was humiliating for you, his looks and background are more than enough for you. How did you manage to keep him away from you for 2 years? When I only had eyes for Su Yanbing, I had each of her friends under surveillance, so they could all see my social media posts. My social media was all about Su Yanbing before. It was either showing off our love or declaring status, or little essays about how much I loved her, because I knew Su Yanbing had blocked my posts. When I posted those essays, these friends often teased her in the group chat. But just 2 hours ago, they found out I deleted everything related to Su Yanbing. Everything in the circle related to her. Then I posted about Haicheng on my moments. At this moment, I posted a picture of myself in beach shorts. A beautiful photo of watching the sunset by the seaside in Haicheng. It's the kind that's in a 9-grid format. The caption says, with the person who loves me the most, enjoying the most beautiful scenery. Su Yanbing noticed that everyone was looking at their phones. She casually glanced over. It was a photo of me smiling happily by the seaside. Qin Shiyue stared at her phone and said, it feels like Gu Haoming has changed a lot all of a sudden. Wen Mumu nodded. Looking like this, he's actually quite handsome. Lin Xinyao chuckled. This is probably what it looks like to no longer love someone. With a bang, Su Yanbing slammed her wine glass heavily to the ground. Her entire pretty face was cold as ice. Su Yanbing looked at them with cold eyes. Are you all sick? We came out to drink. And you're all hugging your phones talking about Gu Haoming. After saying this, Su Yanbing slammed the door. Wen Mumu looked confused. Isn't it that you don't care? Why is Su Yanbing so furious? Qin Shi chuckled lightly. She wouldn't have developed feelings for Ji Yu Zhaoming, would she? Lin Xinyao squinted her eyes and said, it's unknown whether she likes Ji Yu Haoming or not. In any case, I have a bit of a crush. Wen Mumu and Qin Shiyue both glanced at her. You're joking, right? Su Yanbing got into the car. She took out her phone and opened the satellite app. She scrolled through my moments. Only then did she realize that I went to Haicheng for vacation. In the photos, my eyes are filled with joy. It seems like there's light radiating from within. Whether it's my profile with my head held high, or my pose facing the camera, every gesture exudes happiness. My eyes seem to hold the beauty of the world. This is Ji Yu Haoming. It's the same one who previously looked at her not with love, but with anger towards others. A young man from the capital who's unreasonable and spoiled. A person can't just change overnight. Su Yanbing doesn't believe that the person in the photos is the real me at all. Not clear. But she knows in her heart. Ji Yu Haoming is avoiding the topic of divorce with her, posting her own photos on social media, just to please her. But she knows my intentions. Yet she is still drawn in by these few pictures. These ordinary photos caught her attention for a moment. On the other side, I am enjoying my first trip in this life. Haicheng is also the place I wanted to visit most when I was alive. The cool breeze and a seafood feast. Eating while enjoying the night view by the sea. It gives me only one feeling. The world is so beautiful. In my previous life when I was alive, my money box wasn't enough. I never had the chance to experience this kind of life. There wasn't anything beautiful worth recording. But now I feel it's worth it. There are so many beautiful things to record, such as delicious food and beautiful scenery, and the love of family. The next morning, I want to go diving. My mom spent money to hire me a private beauty coach. Take me diving. Enjoying the experience of swimming among the corals. The beauty of playing surrounded by schools of fish. Relaxed and happy. Meanwhile, in the office of the president of the Su Group, Su Yanbing received a call from her mother amidst her busy schedule. Daughter, how could Ji Yu Haoming travel with another woman? Did you have a fight with him? Su Yanbing frowned. Mother Su said seriously. He wouldn't be so close to another woman. And intentionally posted it on Moments. Su Yanbing found my Moments. She saw a few minutes ago. I shared a diving video. And specially added a caption. My first dive. An indescribable happiness. There is a woman in the video. Sometimes holding my arm. Sometimes helping me up. They look very close. Because she was wearing diving gear, I couldn't see the woman's face. But it was clear she has a good figure. The comment section has comments from mutual classmates and friends. Showing off love leads to a quick downfall. I don't want to eat this food. They make a great match. Who envies me won't say. Classmate Mew Mew saw it. Everyone mistakenly thought it was Su Yanbing. They tagged her in the besties group. Qin Shi smiled slightly. There is a 30-day cooling off period after divorce. Ji Yu Haoming is a bit too impatient here. Nodded. Can't blame Ji Yu Haoming either. Who can handle the youthful arrogance? The reply to them was a system prompt. Su Yanbing has left that group. One by one, they are blind to the reality. Su Yanbing is very confident inside. How could Ji Yu Haoming bear to divorce her? His social circle has always been focused on himself. From yesterday until now. Although Ji Yu Haoming hasn't contacted her, his social circle updates a post from time to time. Updating so frequently. It's obvious it's for himself. Posting this diving video. It's the same nature as last time when he ordered a model at the club. It's just to catch his attention. I want to feel a sense of urgency. I should Zhu Dong Jiao Ta to give him an out. Su Yanbing let out a light hum. Ji Yu Haoming really overestimates himself. He doesn't disturb me. That suits me just fine. Su Yanbing threw her phone aside. She continued to handle her work. But Ji Yu Haoming's changed appearance occasionally flashed through her mind. It made her feel irritable and restless. She called her assistant over. She filled her work schedule. That night, she attended the Bai family's young lady's birthday party with Lu Jinian. Soon, Su Yanbing and Lu Jinian at the dinner made it to the trending list. But Su Yanbing and Ji Yu Haoming's event was a sensational wedding that shocked the internet. The live stream still leaves a strong impression on everyone. No one can afford to offend the Ji Yu and Su family reporters. No one dares to use their private lives as gossip. But every time Ji Yu Haoming saw the trending topics, he thought that Lu Jinian wanted to seduce Su Yanbing and would cause him trouble, warning him to take action against him. Su Yanbing returned to her hotel room. Seeing the trending topics, images of Ji Yu Haoming flashed through her mind. Both his crazy and happy moments during the trip, and she felt an inexplicable sense of anticipation. She took a shower and then went to sleep. On the other side, I went diving in the morning, and surfing in the afternoon. I can't even express how happy I was. At night, after taking a shower, I lay down and picked up my phone, and saw the previous informant of the original owner, who had sent me the trending topics about Su Yanbing and Lu Jinian. I took a glance. There were no scandals in the same frame. I was anxious for them. I was about to tell myself that I didn't want to know anything related to Su Yanbing, when Ji Yu Wanner called me on video. Are you having fun? I nodded. I'm quite happy. Ji Yu Wanner had just finished showering as well, and was still drying her hair with a towel. Since she had just showered, her gaze had a hint of allure. Her skin looked even clearer and more radiant. Her lips were tinted with a subtle sheen of redness. I could hardly contain my desires. Ji Yu Wanner murmured as she looked at me. I want to go too. I glanced at her. Focus on your work. I wasn't joking about what I said last time. It was serious. The Su family will fall out with the Ji Yu family. You need to be prepared in advance. The company is counting on you. Ji Yu Wanner paused her movements. staring directly at me. Aren't you afraid I'll have the same intentions as Su Yanbing? And target the company? I smiled and shook my head, saying, not afraid. I believe in you. Ji Wanner's beautiful eyes glimmered slightly. I didn't expect my words to stir her. I could only hastily end the conversation. Alright. It's getting late. I'm going to sleep. You should go to bed early too. Ji Wanner said with an expectant expression. Remember to bring me a gift. I lie in bed, thinking about Ji Wanner's deep affection for the original owner over the years. I plan to fulfill her little request. The next day, Su Yanbing woke up and turned on her phone. The trending topics are still there, but Ji Haoming hasn't contacted her. No one from Lu Jinian's side is looking for him either. She couldn't help but click on my moments again. I saw that I had just updated my status 5 minutes ago. It was a video of me riding a rented electric bike. A video of me touring with my mom on the electric bike. In the video, my handsome looks, so vibrant, like a spokesperson for happiness, made all the scenery along the way seem dull. This left Su Yanbing completely stunned. Ji Haoming hasn't come back and is still traveling. He has time to post on moments. He can't possibly not see the trending topics. But he hasn't come back. He seemed even happier. Shu Yan was both angry and amused. She threw her phone aside. This time, he has actually done well. She wants to see how long I can hold on. Su Yanbing had a packed schedule for the day. In the evening, she returned to the hotel. Su Yanbing was so tired that she collapsed on the sofa. She looked at the warm-colored lights. Images of me riding my electric bike happily flashed through her mind. She took out her phone. She checked my moments. She saw that I had updated my status a few hours ago. Caption. In this world, only mom is good. In the 9-grid picture, I was either eating various local snacks, or showing off some little trinkets I had bought. In the center was a photo of my mother and me. In the comments, my dad left a message for me. Isn't dad good? I quickly replied that dad is good too. Ji Wan came over to join the fun when she saw this. Hao Ming really is biased. I'm not good. I'm a bit helpless. Hello, Sister Wanner. She is the best in the world. Su Yanbing has been feeling unsettled these days. It's been 3 days. I haven't contacted her for 3 days. I also haven't reached out to her. Yet she seems to be happier each day. Seeing me so happy, Su Yanbing feels uncomfortable inside. It feels like swallowing a dead fly. Just at this moment, her phone rang. I sent her a message. The tension in her chest suddenly dissipated. This man finally couldn't hold back. For the first time, she opened my chat with a hint of anticipation. Her mood led her to click on the chat with me. But my words were very cold. It's been so many days since the divorce agreement was signed. Shouldn't I go handle the formalities now? Su Yanbing looked at these words. Her beautiful eyes widened in shock. Her grip on the phone tightened and tightened. After a long time, she got up and walked out. She drove back home. No matter when she returned, the house with the lights on was completely dark. Only the street lamp outside is quietly functioning in its routine. She turned on the lights in the hall and walked in. The house is empty. There is no figure waiting for her return. Her card is placed on the divorce agreement on the coffee table. She picked up the divorce agreement and opened it. The handwritten name Ji Haoming stands out prominently. The paper in her hand was crumpled. Emotions were shifting in her eyes. Ji Haoming, the man who was jealous of her just a few days ago, is actually going to divorce her. Su Yanbing couldn't believe it and let out a cold laugh. Meanwhile, at the Ji family home, my mom is taking out the specialties from the big bag. She is distributing them to the family members. These are all the ones Haoming said were delicious. He brought some back for you all to try. Everyone received the specialties. They happily expressed their thanks. The joy of sharing spreads throughout the house. My dad is drinking tea after dinner. Ji Wanner is on a work call. The house is big, yet it's not empty at all. It's warm and beautiful. I hold my phone in my arms, watching as Su Yanbing hasn't replied for a long time, thinking about calling her in a bit. Ji Wanner sat next to me and asked, "Where's my gift?" I looked up and met her clear eyes. There was a hint of anticipation in them. A woman enhanced by a filter. It's hard for me not to favor her. I got up and opened my suitcase. I took out 2 small night lights from inside. Point. 1 is made of conch shell. 3 are made of seashells. Which one do you want? Ji Wanner looked at both of them. And who is the other one for? I won't expose her little secret. For myself. Ji Wanner smiled sweetly. She picked up the conch shell night light and examined it. My mom finished distributing the gifts. She saw the night light in my hand. I just mentioned it casually. This was made by Haoming himself. Ji Wanner heard this line. She immediately looked up at me. The surprise and joy in her eyes were almost impossible to hide. Did you make this? The original owner only made things for Su Yanbing by hand. She had a crush on the original owner for many years. This was the first time she received a gift made by me. One can imagine the joy in her heart. I shot her a cold glance. What? Are you disgusted? If you're disgusted, why give it back to me? Ji Wanner immediately shook her head and said, I'm not disgusted. After finishing her sentence, she just looked at me like that. I felt that there was hidden deep affection in her eyes. It nearly overwhelmed me with the temptation of her beauty. I stood up with my phone in hand. I'm tired. I'm going back to my room to rest first. Back in my room, I opened my phone. I found out that Su Yanbing had replied to me. Tomorrow at 9 in the morning. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau. In the book, Su Yanbing drives the Jiu family to bankruptcy, forcing me to get a divorce and leave with nothing. Now we are getting a divorce early. Does this mean that the end of the Jiu family's bankruptcy can also change? I feel great. Afraid of oversleeping. I even set an alarm. The next day, I woke up before the alarm even rang. thinking about soon regaining my freedom. I even dressed up on purpose. When I went downstairs, my dad had already finished breakfast and left for work. My mom was trimming the flowers she picked from the backyard. She called me over to have breakfast when she saw me. I was pressed for time. I hurriedly found an excuse and left. I planned to come back after the divorce and give them a surprise. The original owner could drive and had a driver's license. But I can't. I can only ride a small electric scooter. I hadn't learned to drive at all before entering the story. The car I called in advance arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau. 8:50. I took out my phone and called Su Yanbing. I've arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau. When will you arrive? Duo. Yanbing replied with 2 words. Let me wait under the shade of the tree until 9:30. I have said everything about her ancestors for 18 generations. Only then did I see Su Yanbing's car approaching. I eagerly stepped forward to greet her. Su Yanbing looked at me through the car window. Why does it feel like this man is getting more handsome? I walked towards Su Yanbing, facing the sunlight. I felt like I was glowing, making everything around me look dull in comparison. I stopped in front of the car and knocked on the window. Su Yanbing lowered her gaze. She opened the car door. Our eyes met at that moment. There was no trace of her in my eyes. Nor was there the slightest hint of sadness. There was only a joyful smile, with a hint of strangeness. Not at all as she had imagined. I merely glanced at her lightly. After saying that, I turned and walked towards the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. My steps were light, revealing a sense of impatience. At this moment, Su Yanbing sought reassurance. I really want a divorce. She watched my back. The scene of being forced into marriage flashes in my mind. Over 2 years. Still as clear as yesterday. Being forced to marry me is a humiliation for her. From the moment we got married, she has been thinking about the day to avenge her humiliation. That day hasn't come yet, and I already want a divorce. I took a few steps. I looked back to see her still standing in place. I frowned. I walked back to ask again. I noticed her silence. An ominous feeling suddenly arose in my heart. Don't tell me you didn't bring your ID. You came to get a divorce. Didn't you bring any documents? I held back my frustration. Then hurry and have someone bring it to you. Su Yanbing kept a cold expression while looking at me. But she remained silent. I was at a loss for words. Why don't you just call? Why are you staring at me? Su Yanbing finally lowered her gaze. She casually raised her wrist to check the time. She casually glanced at the time. Finally, she spoke up. There will be a meeting at 10 o'clock. I have another appointment at 10. We can discuss the divorce later. Hearing this, I frowned. Since we're already here, why not stay a little longer? Let's postpone the meeting for a bit. It's not too late to go back after completing the procedures. I came here with great difficulty. The variables next time are too great. I don't want to wait. The reason I say this is because in the book, Su Yanbing often postponed meetings because of Lu Jinian. It shows that the meetings aren't that important. To my surprise, right after I finished speaking, Su Yanbing's expression changed as she looked at me, as if I had committed some unforgivable sin. Her face was cold enough to kill. Gu Haoming. Do you think your matters are always the most important? Thousands of employees' lives are not as important as your divorce. You think too highly of yourself. 7. I was stunned for 2 seconds after she scolded me fiercely. This double-standard dog. Lu Jinian asking her to postpone meetings is fine. I asked her to postpone a meeting. It would affect the employees' lives. And the divorce is my personal matter. Isn't it hers as well? Su Yanbing didn't give me any time to react. Then she just walked away. The divorce we agreed upon. In the end, she didn't bring her ID and was late. Clearly, I should be the one angry. Yet, she left with a sullen face, slamming the car door. I was so angry I wanted to curse. I even prepared a post to celebrate being single. I had also planned where to have fun that evening. In the end, the divorce didn't happen. I went to the supermarket and bought a bunch of snacks. Then I went to Gu's group. Su Yanbing returned after the meeting. She saw me sitting on her office sofa playing games. I had a spicy strip in my mouth. The whole office smelled like spicy strips. There was a pile of snacks on the coffee table. They were all things I used to never eat. Su Yanbing frowned in disgust. What happened to you? I was eating spicy snacks and looking at my phone without looking up. I came to wait for you. Su Yanbing paused for a moment and glanced at me. She walked back to her own place. She looked at me and said, eating junk snacks and playing games. There's a bit of an image burden of being too low-key. Such a Gu Haoming is too lifeless. I paused my movements and looked up at her. Didn't the divorce papers fail to be completed this morning? I know you're busy. I'll wait for you here until you're done. Then we can go together. Su Yanbing looked at me coldly. I'm busy all day today. I glanced at her again, with doubts. When will you be free? Su Yanbing picked up a document from the side. I will contact you when I have time. I feel like she has changed her mind. She wants a divorce. How could she not find time? But why would she go back on that? She hated the original owner so much. Isn't divorce a form of liberation? Haven't I been tortured enough yet? Although the female lead in the book didn't say it, her attitude towards the original owner clearly carries the revenge of forcing me into marriage. The more I want her love, the more she makes me suffer the pain of unrequited love. Now I want a divorce. Is she going to make me experience the pain of wanting to leave but being unable to? I stood up in anger. Su Yanbing, do you not want a divorce? I'll give you 3 days. If you don't go with me to get a divorce in 3 days, then I will initiate the divorce. I'm not discussing this with you, but notifying you. After saying that, I grabbed my snacks and was about to leave. Just then, Lu Jinian walked in through the office door. He looked at me, and fear suddenly appeared in his eyes. Did I come at a bad time? Lu Jinian was about to back out, but Su Yanbing waved her hand and said, You're just in time. You came just right. Lu Jinian is the male lead of the novel. He has a tragic backstory from a broken family. His father is addicted to gambling, and his mother is in poor health. When he was in high school, his father couldn't pay off his debts. He started working from a young age. Su Yanbing saved him. Moreover, Su Yanbing signed him into her company. This made him a hot and popular star. As the male lead in the story, he is kind, hardworking, and has a good moral compass. He fell in love with her the moment she helped him. However, he always felt unworthy of Su Yanbing and didn't dare to confess. He wanted to work hard to become better and worthy of her. After Su Yanbing was forced to marry, Lu Jinian, despite secretly loving Su Yanbing, still adhered to his principle of not being a third party. He maintained a friendly distance from her. The novel mostly features the perspectives of the male lead and the original character. The female lead's love for the male lead is depicted through events. In the part 1 saw, there hasn't been a confession yet. So the mutual and restrained secret love between the male and female leads has garnered endless sympathy and anticipation from readers. As for the original character, this vicious antagonist is being urged to go offline every day. At this moment, I was planning to leave. I glanced at Su Yanbing and then at Lu Jinian. I left quickly. The smile on her face is very genuine. You can take your time chatting. I won't disturb you any longer. As I passed by Lu Jinian, I clearly felt Lu Jinian shrink away. It's no wonder Lu Jinian is afraid of me. The original character always regarded him as the third party ruining my marriage. Every time I saw him, I wanted to teach him a lesson. I even looked for someone to hit him several times. Now, in order to clear my name, I walked out of the office and kindly closed the door. Lu Jinian looked bewildered as he watched me leave. Then he looked towards Su Yanbing. He saw her staring at the door as it closed. Her expression was extremely cold. When Lu Jinian approached, holding the local specialty he brought back, I saw the signature pen in Su Yanbing's hand. She was doodling on the document. Su Yanbing withdrew her gaze and looked up at him, asking, "Why are you here?" Lu Jinian smiled and placed the bag on the table. "Specialties from Zhangcheng. I thought they were quite good. So I brought you some. Thank you for helping my mom find a doctor." After saying that, he gazed at her with restrained eyes. "Are you going to divorce Haoming?" On the other side, I came out holding snacks. I ran into a little assistant holding a document, about to find Su Yanbing for a signature. I reached out my arm to stop her. "You guys at GU Dai have something important going on right now. Documents and such. Wait until Lu Jinian comes out before taking them in." The little assistant glanced at the office door, then looked back at me. She looked a bit confused. Lu Jinian is inside. Mr. GU isn't even getting jealous. He can still keep it together here. I opened my snack bag. "Do you want some?" The little assistant saw the snack bag raised in front of her. Unable to resist temptation, the foodie in her grabbed a bag of spicy chicken feet. "Thank you, Mr. GU. I chuckled. Be more perceptive in the future. When Lu Jinian came to find Su Yanbing, "Don't go in and disturb them." The assistant nodded but didn't say anything. I left it at that. Helping them is helping myself. They better hurry up and can't hold back their desire to be together. Let Su Yanbing handle the divorce procedures with me soon. After all, divorce requires evidence of the breakdown of the marriage. It seems quite troublesome. The assistant ate the spicy chicken feet while waiting for Lu Jinian to come out. Took the documents inside. Couldn't help but chime in. "Do you know what Mr. said to me just now?" Su Yanbing glanced at her. The assistant continued. "Mr. said Lu Jinian has come out. Only then can I come in. He also said that Lu Jinian will come to find you in the future. I don't want to come in and disturb." Su Yanbing threw a document at the assistant. "I'm the one who pays your salary." The assistant caught the document. "Don't you think Mr. has changed? He seems to not be jealous of you anymore. He also seems to be trying to set you up with Lu Jinian." Su Yanbing curled her lips into a chilling smile. "Have you been too idle lately?" The assistant immediately shut up. He ran out with the signed document. Su Yanbing slammed the pen onto the table. The smile on her lips gradually faded. Her gaze gradually dimmed. I walked out of Su Yanbing's company. I glanced at the time. It was almost noon. I hailed a cab straight home. I had lunch with my mom. I found a nearby driving school online. I called to inquire about driving practice. After all, there are so many sports cars in the garage. I can only look but not drive. It's really too painful. The original owner has a driver's license. I just need to learn how to drive. The driving school has a dedicated training area. It's the most suitable. After scheduling the call, I called a car to the driving school. Following the principle that money can make things happen, the boss found an exceptionally kind instructor for the driver's license. The beautiful instructor taught me how to drive one-on-one. I have to say, you get what you pay for. I felt like I was incredibly clumsy. But after an afternoon, the beautiful instructor never frowned. She kept encouraging and comforting me. The emotional support was top-notch. I spent the entire afternoon. Finally, I barely learned it. To show my gratitude to the instructor. After it ended, I treated her to a meal. On the other side, Su Yanbing had just left the office. She saw that Wen Mumu had sent her a message. "Yanbing, we were wrong last time. We didn't consider your feelings. Tonight, a few of us would like to treat you to dinner." In 20 minutes, Su Yanbing walked into the reserved restaurant. I saw a familiar figure. The man was smiling particularly. Su Yanbing walked over, suppressing her footsteps. I heard myself openly praising the woman. "Coach Shen. Someone like you. Good looks, definitely. A great figure, for sure. How could someone like you settle as a driving instructor?" Shen Xinyi smiled and explained that she wasn't a coach. It turns out she's the daughter of the driving school owner. She was forced by her dad to teach me because they were short on staff. I couldn't help but laugh. While laughing, I felt a chilling gaze. I instinctively raised my eyes. I saw Su Yanbing standing beside me. Her entire face was as cold as ice. Before I had the chance to speak, Su Yanbing grabbed my hand. All the way, pulled me out of the restaurant. Ji Haoming. We're not divorced yet. You come out to find other women. I looked at the woman just a short distance away. It's such a waste of such a beautiful appearance. How can her temper be so explosive? I rubbed my own wrist. What wild woman. I was just having a normal meal with her. Don't talk nonsense. Su Yanbing shot me a glare. A normal meal. Do you think I'm blind? I don't want to see her face. So I looked up at the sky. If you think you're blind, there's nothing I can do about it. Su Yanbing laughed in anger. Ji Haoming. Do you think this is still 2 years ago? Whatever you do, I want to cling to you. From now on, I'm in charge between us. I watched her hurt herself by touching me. So I smiled and moved closer to her. I raised my hand to touch her slender waist. Bold and reckless. Then why don't you say something? What do you want? Shu Yan swallowed. She gripped my wrist with an ugly expression. Knowing that Su Yanbing hated the original owner's touch the most. Every time I touch her, Su Yanbing's dislike for me increases by 1. Su Yanbing's dislike for me will increase by 1. Seeing her face darken, I raised my other hand to grasp hers. Continuing to disgust her. Why don't we find a hotel? Summer clothes are already thin. Su Yanbing is wearing a dress. I touched her leg with my hand. It felt like a replay. A tingling sensation like ants crawling. Su Yanbing blushed and stared at me intently. I never dared to be so unruly in the past. But no one. Clearly having no love for her in my eyes. Yet I appeared to covet her body. It was as if I was treating her like a hostess. I took a moment to respond. Shu Yan swallowed again. Her face was again filled with a sense of propriety. I saw she still didn't want to push me away in disgust. I pretended I was going to kiss her. Only then did Su Yanbing push me away. She took out a handkerchief to wipe her hands. Ji Haoming. Put away your delusions. You will never get what you want from me. As expected, she won't divorce because I want to divorce. I rubbed my wrist and scoffed. Is there a possibility that I can't get it from you, but can get it from another woman? Although I'm tempted by your body. But women, you know. Actually, it doesn't make a difference when the lights are off. I'm not absolutely dependent on you. Su Yanbing's face was as dark as if she had soaked in ink. She bit her back molars. She threw away the tissue and laughed in anger. Then you can give it a try. I smiled at her and said, I was just thinking of giving it a try. I was just interrupted by you. If you don't have anything else to do, I'll go in and continue. My phone is still in the dining room. Seeing that Su Yanbing no longer stopped me, I went in. But just as I sat down, my phone rang. I picked it up and took a look. Su Yanbing sent me a video. I opened it to see. Her face suddenly turned deathly pale. The video contains evidence of the original owner hiring someone to kidnap Lu Jinian. There's footage of me pushing someone into the street. Evidence of a car accident. There's also a video evidence of me hiring someone to assault Lu Jinian. This evidence is enough to sentence me for several years. Su Yanbing didn't bring it out before because she was wary of the Jiu family. Now she presents it. It seems she's no longer afraid of the Jiu family. I've only just started enjoying a few good days. I didn't come here to enjoy being in prison. Su Yanbing sent me a message. I'm giving you 2 minutes. Come up obediently. Su Yanbing is using this to threaten me. Although I'm unwilling, I definitely don't want to go to prison more. Shen Xinyi noticed that I looked unwell. She poured me a glass of water. I waved my hand. Sorry. I have something to take care of, so I have to leave first. Take your time eating. After saying that, I quickly settled the bill. I went upstairs to the private room to find Su Yanbing. When I entered the private room, Wen Mumu was there. Just happened to see the scene of Su Yanji and me in front of the car. It was a photo. I shared it with my close friends in the private room. It was taken from her perspective. The photo looks like it was. Su Yanji is dominatingly intimate with me. Then everyone went to the windowsill to look. They saw me leave without looking back. It further confirmed that Su Yanji forced me. Wen Mumu said in surprise. Let's not mention Jiu Haoming tonight. As soon as Su Yanji walked into the room, Mumu immediately went up to greet her. Everyone was chatting and laughing. No one mentioned my situation at all. When I pushed open the door to come in, the three of them were taken aback for a moment. Their squinted eyes were full of intent. They quickly got up to clear the seat next to Su Yanji. They set up the new tableware that hadn't been unpacked yet. Haoming is here. I smiled and raised my hand to greet them. I gave Su Yanji a glance. Then I walked towards her. The three of them looked at me and then at Su Yanbing. As usual, they treated me like I was invisible. I gritted my teeth. I used my chopsticks to poke through the plastic wrap on the bowl. I leaned a bit closer to Su Yanbing. I said in a lowered voice. What do you mean? Su Yanbing pulled the corner of her mouth. I just want you to be a bit more obedient. My fists tightened. This woman, besides tormenting me, don't you have any other interests or hobbies? I forced a smile and picked up my chopsticks to serve her some food. All right. Dear wife. You want me to go east, I won't go west. You want me to warm your bed, I won't just warm the house. Su Yanbing glanced at me. Place the empty wine glass upright. I immediately filled it up for her. I practiced driving for the whole afternoon. I was actually hungry too. Seeing that Su Yanbing wasn't making any demands, I just started to eat contentedly by myself. After finishing a bowl of rice, I noticed everyone was looking at me. I added another bowl of rice. I gave them a big smile in return. Do you guys want some? I can help you refill. The three girlfriends were even more surprised. Jiu Haoming, who only ever had eyes for Su Yanbing, actually wanted to help them refill their rice. After a second, Su Yanbing finally responded. You really like helping others. Help me peel this box of shrimp. I love to eat. I was so angry that my fists clenched again. How infuriating. I don't even want to peel them for myself. I smiled and sat down, looking at her. Okay, dear wife. I brought over the bowl of shrimp. While peeling, I thought about how to break the deadlock. I definitely don't want to be threatened by her indefinitely. I was too immersed in thought. The shrimp I peeled easily made its way into my mouth. Su Yanbing watched me eat the shrimp. She was self-indulgently enjoying her food. Her gaze became dim and obscure. I felt a chilling stare that could kill. Only then did I come to my senses. I quickly sent the shrimp I was about to eat to my mouth. I stuffed it into her mouth. I tried it for you. It's very safe. It's not poisonous. Su Yanbing was force-fed. She instinctively started chewing. The coldness in her eyes softened a bit. The old Su Yanbing would even find it disgusting when I picked food for her. Now she watched as I directly fed her. Su Yanbing not only ate, she also looked like she was enjoying it. Immediately, the friend group started to make a fuss. When you show off your love, can you consider the feelings of a single dogs? I felt a surge of frustration in my heart. I couldn't bear to hear their fuss. Lin Xinyao played with her wineglass while looking at me. I see. Yin Bing is so hard to please. Should I consider changing the person I like? I stuffed the peeled shrimp back into Su Yanbing's mouth. With a gaze that seemed to see only her, my voice involuntarily became affectionate. She is a bit hard to please. But she is beautiful. I just like her for being so beautiful. With her tall, aloof figure and perfect body, Su Yanbing looked at me as I lied. She had a beaming smile on her face. But secretly, she was gritting her teeth. A trace of a smile appeared in her cold gaze. After finishing dinner, we walked out of the restaurant. I was still thinking about going back home. Su Yanbing tossed the car keys to me. You drive. I've been drinking. I can't drive. Besides, the original owner can drive. I couldn't refuse. I watched as Su Yanbing got into the backseat. I steeled myself and became the driver. Luckily, I learned to drive at noon. But as a newbie, it's inevitable to feel nervous on the road. Especially since I was driving at night. I was fully focused and driving very slowly. Su Yanbing leaned against the back of the chair, watching me drive the luxury car at the speed of a tractor. She was instantly both angry and amused. Can you be any slower? My hands were sweating on the steering wheel. My mind was completely focused on driving. I couldn't stand any distractions. Don't talk to me. Su Yanbing's face instantly darkened. Gu Haoming. Have you forgotten your identity? In the next second, the car shot out like an arrow. I saw the car getting faster and faster. My mind went blank for a moment. Su Yanbing saw the suddenly reckless speed of the car. There was a car ahead and I didn't slow down. It looked like I was about to drag her to her death. Her delicate face tensed instantly as she shouted. Gu Haoming. You're crazy. Quick, hit the brakes. I shouted. I'm pressing the brakes. It was then that I realized I had mistakenly pressed the accelerator instead of the brake. Hurry up and hit the brakes. But it was still a little too late. In the midst of panic, I only heard a loud bang. The world suddenly went quiet. I gradually came to my senses. My neck and head still hurt a bit. I heard Su Yanbing almost. Gritting her teeth, she forced my name out of her throat. Gu Haoming. I turned to look at her and said, I was driving just fine. It was you who insisted on talking to me. Su Yanbing looked at me with a cold expression. She squeezed a few words through clenched teeth. So what? She hadn't finished her sentence. I interrupted her, repeatedly apologizing. Blame me. Blame me for being useless. As soon as I heard your voice, I got so nervous that I couldn't tell the difference between the brake and the gas. I said it was my fault. But there was no guilt on my face at all. After I finished speaking, I got out of the car. Su Yanbing pulled out her phone with a cold face. She called her assistant to come handle it. After ending the call, she saw me rubbing my neck, bent over, talking to the owner of the car that was hit ahead. Her posture clearly indicated she was apologizing for a mistake. This version of me is vastly different from the me in Su Yanbing's memory. The me in memories never apologized to anyone except her. I've always been spoiled and willful. Even when I was wrong, I maintained an air of superiority. I felt others deserved it. Things like car accidents. The old me wouldn't even get out of the car. I would just call someone to handle it. I never cared about others' lives or deaths. But now, I hurriedly checked if the other person was injured. Are you alright? The woman got out of the car, touching her face. A bruise on her forehead, staining her fair and perfect face with blemishes. I saw her face clearly. I felt an overwhelming sense of guilt. I felt even more sorry. This woman is none other than the popular star Mu Rongyan. She was mentioned in the book while collaborating with Lu Jinian on a play. Her description is that of a child star debuting. Lu Jinian was able to collaborate with her in his first movie. Fans celebrated together. Soon, her on-screen pair with Lu Jinian went viral online. But it was also that year, before the original owner died. Marong Yan also died. She left behind a long letter. Then she ended her life. Behind the bright, smiling girl on screen, there were a pair of blood-sucking parents. They broke her wings of dreams, making her lose herself. They treated her as a tool for making money. They never cared about her feelings. After prolonged depression, her parents forced her to accompany powerful figures in the industry. This became the last straw that broke the camel's back. Ultimately, Marong Yan chose to end her life. When reading, I felt she was my shadow. I empathized with her and shed many tears. At that moment, Marong Yan glanced at her beloved car. She glanced down at me. There was a hint of a smile in her eyes. Little bone. Is this what they call a disaster strikes suddenly while sitting in a car? I regained my focus and saw the lingering pain in her eyes. I really am sorry. I will take care of the car repairs. I will also compensate you for the inspection fee and emotional distress. Others gasp in awe when they first see her. This was the first time Mirong Yan had someone look at her with such a pained expression. It was as if they saw through her glamorous facade to her unhappiness beneath. In her moment of distraction, I took out my phone and said, "Please give me your contact information. This way, we can easily discuss any compensation issues later. It'll be convenient to get in touch." Mirong Yan didn't care about the car at all. He didn't want compensation. But that look I just gave made her unable to resist taking my phone. She added her contact information. After dialing, she returned the phone to me. "Hey there, young man. Don't you recognize me?" I put away my phone and smiled. "The famous star Mirong Yan. How could I not know you? I'm your loyal fan. Could you give me another autograph?" Mirong Yan looked at me incredulously. This man, when he saw himself, clearly didn't feel the excitement of meeting an idol. I saw her standing still. I stepped forward and hugged her. "Since you're unwilling to sign, then just give me a hug." Mirong Yan was frozen in place. This was different from the excited hugs of those fans. I quietly held her. It felt like a confession and a comfort at the same time. "Your Excellence has given many people the courage to face setbacks. It has provided many with the motivation to move forward. I hope one day we can make you brave too, to become the strength that supports your progress." Su Yanbing watched me handle the accident from the car. In the end, it surprisingly turned into flirting with a woman. She immediately wore a serious expression, pulled me away from the woman's embrace. Just then, the little assistant rushed in. Su Yanbing took my car keys. She grabbed me and walked away. Mirong Yan stood there watching me. My mind was still on the words I just said. I smiled and waved at Mirong Yan. My smile was like March peach blossoms in June's cool breeze. Like all the beauties of the world, frozen into a painting under the warm light. Su Yanbing looked at me with a gloomy expression. Her voice was icy cold. "Gu Haoming," putting a green hat on me right in front of me. "You are getting bolder." I took the initiative to get closer and said to her, "Yanbing, my life is now in your hands. You won't let me touch anyone else. Even if I had that right now, I wouldn't have the courage. Right now, all I think about is how to please you. How about tonight?" I pretended to get closer to her again. Sure enough, the next second, Su Yanbing was disgusted again. She opened the car door with a cold expression. She pushed me in with one shove. On the way, I received a call from my mom. "It's so late. Why are you still back?" I don't want them to worry. But now I can't get a divorce and I'm being threatened by Su Yanbing. I definitely can't live at home every day now. I could only reply, "I won't be coming back tonight." Su Yanbing admitted her mistake to me. I decided to give her a chance. Su Yanbing huffed at me through the rearview mirror. My mom knew this would be the outcome from early on. She wasn't too surprised, just a bit disappointed. "Then you can go back to her place for dinner tomorrow." I glanced at Su Yanbing in the passenger seat. I tentatively agreed. "Okay." My mom asked again with concern. "If there's anything, remember to tell mom. Get some rest early." I made a sound of agreement. "You and dad should also sleep early. Don't worry about me either." As soon as I ended the call, Su Yanbing's annoying voice suddenly sounded. "I admit my mistake to you." "What mistake?" I smiled and waved my hand, saying, "It's just an excuse to deal with my parents. How could you possibly be at fault? It's all my fault. I feel like I'm clearly unhappy yet still having to appease her. It allows her to feel pleasure from tormenting me. If she is satisfied, my life will be easier." But Su Yanbing continued to push further. "I remember you used to love writing little essays on moments. Since you know you were wrong, write one tonight. No less than 3,000 words. The original owner used to write every day." Su Yanbing pretended not to see. "Now I no longer love her. Delete all those little essays." She forced me to write again. I could only smile and agree. "I'll write as soon as I get back." When I got home, I went straight to my room. I sent a message to Gu Warner. "Sister Warner, what are the chances of us bringing down the Su family? Or how much would it cost to acquire them? The Su group has rapidly become the local leader in just a few years. There must be quite a few shady dealings as well. I want to avoid her threats. Then I have to overpower her and suppress her. I don't believe that I, having crossed over, can handle her." In the book, Su Yanbing brought down the Gu family. I want to bring down the Su group. Mine won't. But I can help the Gu family seize various money-making opportunities. Gu Warner called me on video. There was a smile on her face. "You hate her so much right now." The next moment, I made it clear that I wasn't at the Gu family's place. She frowned again. "You're back to the house you bought for that woman again." I didn't hide anything. I told her about Su Yanbing using video to threaten me. "What video?" "Send it to me." I sent her the video. I said calmly, "These matters. You probably don't know about them, right?" Gu Warner was silent for a while. It seems she really doesn't know. It was Su Yanbing who solved it privately for the company's development. She handled it for me behind the scenes. Seeing this, I continued to pave the way. Now it has become a bargaining chip to control me. So, I have to bring her down. To get the leverage to threaten me. I remember that the GU Group has its own film and television industry chain. You should have someone send me the information of the artists under your company. GU Warner looked puzzled. "What do you want this for?" I smiled slightly. I thought of a good project to make money. It's hard to explain over the phone. I'll explain it to you in detail tomorrow. As a part-time writer, working dog. Before I die, I was just getting to know the industry of dramas. Several dramas with a cost of millions have daily earnings of over 100 million. Moreover, the production time for dramas is short. You can shoot several in just 1 month. The only highlight is that the male lead is handsome and the female lead is beautiful. The acting is mediocre and the plot is mindless fun. It doesn't stand up to close scrutiny. But everyone loves to watch it. It's the era of short videos exploding. The drama is a big juicy piece of meat. In this novel world, short videos have just become popular. The dramas haven't risen in popularity yet. Entertainment industry film and television works are still traditional. There are no rebirth or time-traveling novels for pure enjoyment at all. Those hits that I've watched before. They film all the dramas at once and then release them. Others can't even follow the trend. End of the call. I took a shower. Then I received the information email. I opened the computer to check the email. The company just signed a batch of new hires recently. I decided to take some time to visit the company. For now, I have to write those hit dramas into scripts. To quickly get rid of the threat, I'll just get to work. I was writing with great enthusiasm. Su Yanbing sent me a message. What's up? Is 3,000 words that difficult? How about I increase it to 5,000 words for you? I glanced at the time. It was 11 p.m. This woman doesn't sleep. She's still thinking about my little essay. She's really got a problem. I'm afraid I might disgust her to death. She quickly posted it on her moments. An essay that only she can see. I think I'm getting more and more tempted by your body. Otherwise, I wouldn't be imagining your cold lips on this quiet night. Imagining your lips that have no warmth. I wonder if they're as sweet as I think. Your body that is covered up tightly all day long. I also don't know if it's as I imagine. Su Yanbing didn't expect me to be so shameless. Writing so openly about my desperate fantasies about her. Her face turned dark, then red, then dark again. Fortunately, she quickly realized something was off. Normally, when I post something, those classmates who flatter me will like and comment. This is exactly when those people are on their phones. But it's already been quite a while. Not a single comment or like. It's obvious that I'm unhappy. I intentionally wrote it this way for her to see. Su Yanbing immediately returned too. It was well written. I'll write one every day from now on. I saw this message. Stayed up all night rushing to write the script. Wrote 2 openings in one go. Then wrote 20 episodes for each. It was already past 5 in the morning. I was truly exhausted. I saved it securely and crashed into bed. Su Yanbing got up. Saw that there was no breakfast on the table. There wasn't a sound from downstairs. I turned the doorknob of my room. Found that the room was still locked. She knocked on the door. I was so sleepy that I pulled the blanket over my head. But it was useless. The knocking kept going. I was jolted awake with anger. I got up to open the door. My hair was messy and I kept yawning. There was a kind of lazy charm about me. Su Yanbing looked at me coldly and said, "Where's breakfast?" I was fully awake with anger. "You knocked on my door just for breakfast? I'm not selling breakfast." I went straight up and hugged her tightly. I disgusted her to take revenge. "There's no breakfast. You might as well eat me for breakfast." Su Yan Shui was momentarily distracted. But soon, that nauseating feeling of muscle memory brought her back to her senses. She instantly pushed me away. "Are you sure there's none?" Su Yan Bing's tone carried a threat. I gritted my teeth. "I'll go make it for you right now. I haven't stepped into the kitchen since I arrived here. There's hardly anything in the fridge." I finally dug out a bag of noodles. I boiled a few eggs and made a bowl of noodles. By the time I finished cooking, I found that the woman had already left. She wasn't eating anymore. I could only finish it myself. I planned to go back and take a nap. At that moment, Su Yan Bing sent me a message. "I've made it. Send it to the company." Indeed, this woman has a way of tormenting people. I gritted my teeth. After changing clothes, I picked up my notebook and went out. Before leaving, I saw the card she had left on. The divorce agreement still on the coffee table. I picked it up and put it in my pocket. Then I bought breakfast and delivered it to Sus Group. Just then, Su Yanbing was in a meeting. I placed it on her desk and quickly left. Afterwards, I drove to Goose Group. After finding Gu Warner, I opened the script on my computer for her to see. I have 2 scripts about time travel and rebirth. Sister Warner, take a look. Gu Warner curiously clicked to read. After just reading the introduction, she looked astonished. I pulled a chair and sat down. Seeing she had read enough, I asked her about it. I planned to turn them into a drama. I explained the short video drama to her. Then I discussed the future prospects with her. Right now, short videos are just on the rise. The user base has exceeded 100 million. The future will come. Gu Warner looked at me and talked endlessly about her career. Her eyes sparkled and her brows and eyes were smiling. Thinking of the script I just read. For a moment, I wondered if the Gu Haoming before me was the time traveler. If it weren't for the change of soul, how could he change so drastically all at once? I saw Gu Warner staring at herself in a daze. I reached out and pinched her soft cheeks. I must say, her skin and looks would make anyone unable to resist their desires. "Sister Warner, what do you think?" Gu Warner sat at the table with her hands crossed and spoke. "Since it's your idea, why not leave it to you to take charge?" I nodded. "Stock issues. I'll pass the script to you first. You take it to the director to prepare. I'll go to the agency later to select the male and female leads. Please give a heads up to the agency for me." Gu Warner looked at me and asked, "Do you want me to go with you?" I waved my hand. "No need. You focus on your work. If I have any questions, I'll find you again." After saying that, I was about to leave. Then I remembered something and turned back. "There's one more thing. I want to sign Mirong Yan over." Gu Warner leaned back in her chair, looking at me in confusion. "Why do you suddenly want to sign her?" I casually explained. "I just feel she's a rare talent in the entertainment industry. She will definitely become a big star in the future. But her manager has always been her mom. It seems there are no plans for her to sign with an agency. You can have someone draft the contract. I'll talk to her mom about the rest." Gu Warner looked at me with a confident expression. She was momentarily taken aback. I just came out of the company. I was about to go to the agency. Then I received a text from Su Yanbing. If we order takeout again for lunch, just wait for the headlines to feature you. I gritted my teeth in anger. That dog Yan Bing is tormenting me over this matter. I checked the time. I spent over 100 at the big mall for her. I bought gifts for my parents. Then I went back home to mooch a meal. My mom saw me come back with a happy face. I even bought them gifts. She thought Su Yan Bing came back with me. She kept looking towards the door. How Ming, you came back alone. I waved my hand and said, she didn't have time to come. My mom smiled and came over. You just came back. What did you buy for us? My mom said we lacked nothing. But she was holding the bag I bought for her. She looked left, right, up, and down. The more she looked, the more she liked it. She thought the bags at home should retire. She couldn't put it down. The servants also praised it repeatedly. Madam, this bag is so beautiful. It matches your outfit perfectly. My mom stood up and looked at it again and again. Really? My son bought it for me. I didn't expect her to be so happy. I thought rich people's mothers didn't lack anything. They wouldn't care about these things. After dinner, I asked Zhang Ma to pack the leftovers for Su Yan Bing. Zhang Ma was surprised when I said it was for Su Yan Bing. She was so shocked that her eyes almost fell onto the ground. Wrong. Isn't it inappropriate to pack this for Miss Su? Should I make 2 new ones instead? I waved my hand and said, no need. Just these will do. Zhang Ma packed while looking at me. I used to pack for Su Yan Bing. I always picked the best for her in advance. She cared a lot. By the time I arrived at Su Group, it was almost 1 o'clock. I bumped into the assistant. I directly shoved the thermos into her hands. Here's the food for Su box. When Su Yan Bing looked at the time for the 5th time, the office door was pushed open. She instinctively looked up. She saw the little assistant coming in with a smiling face, carrying a thermos. Mr. Gu has started delivering meals to you again. Su Yanbing's expression turned cold. The little assistant waved her hand. The little assistant had been eating takeout for several days. In fact, she missed Mr. Gu's cooking quite a lot. Seeing that Su Yanbing had no other questions, the little assistant, as usual, hugged the thermos and was about to happily go out. Su-hee. It's fine, then I'll head out. The next second, she was frozen by Su Yanbing's cold gaze. Where are you taking that? The little assistant looked at Su Yanbing with a puzzled expression. Don't you not eat the meals made by Mr. Gu? Feeling the chilling and dangerous aura, she immediately quieted down. She placed the thermos onto the desk. Su-hee, please take your time with your meal. I'm going to work. Su Yanbing leaned against the office, staring at the thermos. She picked up the phone next to her. I just got into the car here. Finished my call with the agency. Su Yanbing's call came through. Buy me a cup of coffee. The one on Wanhua Street. Deliver it to me personally. I gritted my teeth and said, is your assistant dead? Do I really have to do something so trivial myself? Su Yanbing replied instantly. The assistant is being overqualified for this. You're just the right fit. Well, thank you for that. It lets me know I'm still somewhat useful. I hung up the phone. I still went to the agency. The manager brought me in. I assessed them from closest to farthest. I took a good look. Then I walked towards a few girls. I raised my hand and touched the face of the girl standing on the far left. I pinched her arm. Her arm was a bit plump. She needs to work out properly. The girl's face instantly turned red. I then looked at the girl next to her. He raised his hand and pinched her chin. He looked around. He also pinched her waist. She's a bit chubby too. She needs to lose some weight. The girl couldn't help but ask, do we really need to consider body shape for acting? I glanced at her. That depends on what role you want to play. If you're just a supporting role, it doesn't matter. But if you want to play a leading role as an idol type, both looks and body shape need to be good. I didn't expect the difference between the real person in the photos to be quite large. It's not that her looks are slightly lacking. It's just that her body shape doesn't make the cut. The pay for such shoddily produced shows is frighteningly low. Even somewhat famous stars are unwilling to act in them. Newcomers have to rely on their looks. If looks aren't good, men won't want to watch. I even think it's not good enough. How could the audience possibly be satisfied? So the leads must be good looking. After I looked at everyone, I finally spoke up to explain my purpose. Recently, I've been planning to shoot a few dramas. They're not those kinds of dramas that are several minutes per episode. It's more of a short video type. I haven't finished the introduction yet. Su Yanbing sent me a message, asking you to buy a coffee. Did you buy it abroad? I replied immediately. The tanker is stuck in traffic. Don't rush me. Give me another half hour. Then I locked my phone and continued with the project introduction. The shooting period for a script is about 7 to 12 days. The salary varies from 600 to 10,000 per day depending on the role. If you want to hone your acting skills, you can sign up with the director. I was threatened by Su Yanbing, so I hurriedly explained everything and left. When I arrived at the company, the delivery guy was waiting at the company entrance. I went up and gave him a tip. I rushed upstairs holding the coffee. I pushed open the office door. Su Yanbing's cold gaze shot over. I didn't pay it any mind. I handed her the coffee I was holding. Then I forced a smile. Sorry about that. I'm sorry to keep my dear wife waiting. I still have some fine sweat on my forehead. My breathing is a bit labored. It seems like I hurried up here. Su Yanbing glanced at the coffee on the table. Go ahead and poison me. The next moment, I lifted it and took a sip. I continued to smile at her. But the smile didn't reach my eyes. Is it let go now? Su Yanbing's expression was a bit off. She looked at me and then at the coffee I had drank. I walked around the desk and moved closer to her. What a good example. My dear wife. Is there anything else you need? Do you want a kiss and a hug? Su Yanbing slid her office chair back to create space. She looked at me coldly. I watched her as if she viewed herself as a flood or a beast. There was no time to be happy. Then I heard Su Yanbing say, I invited friends over for dinner tonight. I need to go back and prepare dinner. I gritted my teeth and held back my anger. I maintained a service smile on my face. All right, my dear wife. How many friends are there? Do you want Chinese food or Western food? Su Yanbing waved her hand and said, about 5 or 6. You can decide for yourself. Nodded. All right. Then, old master. I'll go back to prepare then. After saying that, I turned around and put away my smile. This dog Yanbing. She can't just stare at me and torment me all day. I need to find her something to do. To let her focus more on the male lead. After Su Yanbing watched me leave, she casually picked up the coffee on the table and took a sip. After finishing, she suddenly remembered that I had just drunk it. Her expression instantly changed as if a storm had swept through. She immediately put the coffee far away. She didn't drink it again. In the evening, Su Yanbing had just returned home. She heard upbeat music coming from the hall. As soon as she entered, she didn't see my figure. The aroma of food wafted out from the kitchen. She walked to the kitchen and asked back. She saw that there were 2 beautiful women cooking at home. One was feeding me the finished dishes to taste. I praised her while eating. It's delicious. With your looks and great figure, you don't look like a cook at all. I thought I had been deceived. I didn't expect there was some real substance to you. The woman smiled and said, Master Gu, what do you think I look like? I smiled and replied, with your qualities. It would be a pity if you didn't model. As I continued chatting, I felt a chilling discomfort. Realizing, I turned around. I saw Su Yanbing's face was icy cold. It looked like I owed her billions and hadn't paid up. As I just walked over, Su Yanbing mocked me with a smirk. I asked you to cook. You brought back 2 women for me. You will enjoy. Do you want me to bring you more? Su Yanbing was about to take out her phone. I suddenly pressed down on her hand. What enjoyment? It's not that my cooking skills are too poor. I'm afraid of not being able to impress and making a bad dish. I don't want you to lose face in front of your friends. I hired 2 chefs. I'm not an idiot. I want to find a woman. How could I bring them home? Just then, the doorbell rang. Su Yanbing gave me a warning glance. She withdrew her hand, and I immediately went to open the door. At that moment, Su Yanbing's phone rang. She took out her phone. I glanced over. I saw it was a call from Lu Jinian. I couldn't help but perk up my ears. It turned out Lu Jinian had returned home. He received a local delivery. A bouquet of flowers and a package. He opened the package. Inside was a collar. And a card. It said on it, Little Nian Nian, I like you. I dream about you every day. I really want to see you. This is a carefully chosen gift for you. I think you must look charming wearing it. Lu Jinian suddenly found this to be adorable. It felt as if this place was being watched. It made him shiver. His voice trembled when he called Su Yanbing. Sister Yanbing, can you come to my house to handle this? Su Yanbing answered the call with a puzzled expression. It seems I've encountered something adorable. Upon hearing those 2 words, I almost couldn't hold back my laughter. I bit my lip and held it in. Seeing Su Yanbing end the call, I quickly went to help serve the dishes at the table. Married for 2 years. It was Su Yanbing's first time inviting friends over to her home. Plus, the way the 2 of them showed affection last time. A few close friends naturally thought we had finally reached a happy ending. As soon as they entered, they all presented gifts. He took out a hotel card worth 50,000 for one night. That hotel card was stuffed into Su Yanbing's hand. Sister Yanbing's kind intentions. Don't be too touched. Lin Xinyao was holding a mysterious gift bag. These are all things that my best friends have used. I thought they were nice, so I shared them with you. Su Yanbing looked at the things they sent. They were more outrageous than the last. She said with a cold expression, I have to step out for a moment. I brought out the dishes. Hearing that she was going out, I immediately said understandingly, if you have something to do, go ahead. I'll take good care of them. Saying this, I placed the dishes in Wen Mumu's empty hands. She quickly took the gift from her hand. Hurry up and go. Don't delay things. Su Yanbing looked at me, eager to send her off. Then I glanced around at all the women in the room. She reached out and grabbed my wrist. You're coming with me. A few of the best friends were shocked. She even had to take Jiyu Haoming along for errands. Their relationship has gotten to this level. I frowned and looked at her. You're the one who brought this up. It wouldn't be right for me to follow. Besides, we have guests at home. As the host, how can I not entertain them? I want to refuse. This is to help increase the relationship between Su Yanbing and Lu Jinian. To make her feel nervous about the male lead. I spent time and money on this. Deliberately created cute fans out of nowhere. If I go, how will those 2 improve their relationship? Su Yanbing told a few friends, you guys figure it out. She grabbed me and walked away. So quickly that I couldn't even put down what I was holding. It was only when I was shoved into the car that I realized what these gifts all were hotel supplies. Even I, who have a thick skin, couldn't help but blush. Immediately stuffed them all onto Su Yanbing. She could definitely use them tonight. So I definitely can't go with her. I watched as Su Yanbing spoke Dan Li. Both of us left. How can they tear the house apart? I'm entertaining them at home. You can go about your business without worry. Su Yanbing was staring at me with piercing eyes. Throwing things into the backseat. It just exploded. My voice was somewhat helpless. I didn't even bring my phone. But Su Yanbing seemed not to hear it at all. Soon, we drove to Lu Jinian's residence. I was still thinking of using Su Yanbing's car. Let her handle it. I would wait for her in the car. As a result, Su Yanbing got out with the car keys. I sat in the car watching her go in without looking back. I couldn't help but follow out of curiosity. I secretly watched from outside the door. Lu Jinian was restless at home. When he saw Su Yanbing arrive, it was like seeing a savior. He immediately went up to her and showed her the card, and explained the situation to her. I don't know when it started. The delivery only had Lu Jinian's shipping address. Su Yanbing adjusted the surveillance. She called someone to trace the delivery driver's license plate. Then she put away her phone and looked at Lu Jinian. Before the matter was uncovered. Let's hold off for now. I saw them chatting, looking so flat and enthusiastic. There wasn't even any physical contact. Suddenly, I felt completely off. Can't you stop holding back? Even the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would look dull in front of you. I was mindlessly toying with a pot of green plants in front of me. I was originally just touching the leaves. Seeing them brought no effect I had anticipated at all. I was feeling anxious and irritated. By the time I came to my senses, the plant in my hand had been uprooted. It fell in the sight of Lu Jinian, who just came out. It turned out I misunderstood. He was getting angry. He shook slightly and was about to explain. Brother Haoming, Yanbing and I are not what you think we are. Seeing this, I immediately put down the plant in my hand. I put on an awkward yet harmless smile. A quicker explanation than his. I'm sorry. I'm just waiting around, bored. One little thing can lead to a big issue. Tomorrow I'll buy you a pot. Su Yanbing gave me a knowing glance. Lu Jinian waved his hands repeatedly. No need. Just a pot of green plants. I don't want to interrupt their relationship development. I quickened my pace and walked to the front. Lu Jinian was still quite confused. Su-hee. Did Brother Haoming misunderstand and get angry? Su Yanbing looked at that figure and shook her head. Don't mind him. I quickly returned to the car. I sat in the back seat. I left the passenger seat for Lu Jinian. Lu Jinian felt it was inappropriate to sit in the passenger seat. He was just about to sit in the back. But I refused him. He anxiously sat in the passenger seat. He wanted to explain something to me. Seeing me with my eyes closed, not wanting to be disturbed, he had no choice but to give up. He instinctively glanced at Su Yanbing. I saw Su Yanbing glance at me through the rearview mirror. Su Yanbing started the car. She glanced at Lu Jinian. Have you eaten? Lu Jinian shook his head and said, not yet. After these two sentences, the entire car fell into an eerie silence. I stole glances a few times, but I didn't see these two have any other interactions. I wanted to become invisible. I wanted to manually push their heads together to kiss. Another few girlfriends verified it. You guys think this is indicative of her personality, right? She had something to take care of. She also took Jiu Haoming away. What does this mean? Lin Xinyao smiled. What else could it mean? Afraid you might be eyeing her husband. Chin waved his hand. I think they won't be coming back after going out. Why don't we just leave? Wen Mumu pouted. I already gave all my gifts. Why should we leave? I'm not only not leaving, I still want to enjoy her. Wen Mumu just dug out the most expensive sweet wine from the cabinet. Just as I was about to celebrate, I saw that I had returned. With a bad expression, she walked very fast. Following closely behind were Su Yanbing and Lu Jinian, who had just entered. The three of them were completely thrown off. I drank a large cup of water. The fire in my heart subsided a little. I was afraid that Su Yanbing would trace the clues back to me. I even specifically went to withdraw cash. I spent the money from my own card, putting in so much effort. In the end, these two made no progress at all. Reluctantly, I finished my water. I saw everyone opening the sweet drinks. Suddenly, an idea struck me. It was a great idea to get a little tipsy and act recklessly. Whenever something happened, the first person Lu Jinian sought out was Su Yanbing. As soon as Su Yanbing received Lu Jinian's call, her best friends immediately rushed over without hesitation. Isn't this a mutual pursuit of love? Just to torment me by not getting a divorce. I can only say that this dog, Yanbing, has a heavy sense of revenge. All for her wonderful single life. I greeted Wen Mumu and the others with a bright smile. You all have started drinking. That's good. I'll go get 2 more bottles. Tonight, no one gets to leave sober. The three of them looked confused as I happily went to get the drinks. Wen Mumu had a puzzled expression. Su Yanbing is here with her husband to greet her rival. Qin Shi had a mischievous smile on her face. Sister Yanbing is about to enjoy a shared blessing. Su Yanbing and Lu Jinian walked to the table. I had already brought back 2 bottles of sweet water. I sat at the very edge of the table. I left the other 2 connected seats for them. Su Yanbing sat in the middle. Lu Jinian sat beside her. I awkwardly greeted them. I politely said, I've heard of the great celebrity Lu for a long time. Today, I finally got to see him. I immediately seized the opportunity. Then you definitely need to toast him. Su Yanbing shot me a glance. The expression on my face was half smiling, half serious. The others' gazes all turned towards me. I looked back at them, bewildered. I must have said something wrong. Wasn't I supposed to drink one? Wen Mumu smiled and picked up her glass. A big star. I toast to you. Lu Jinian was having dinner with Su Yanbing's friends for the first time. Naturally, I couldn't refuse. He politely clinked glasses with her. I immediately grabbed the wine bottle. With a warm smile, I stood up and went to refill his glass. Seeing this, Lu Jinian waved his hand. Brother Ming. No need. I can handle it myself. I smiled and filled his glass to the brim. You're a distinguished guest personally brought by Su Yanbing. How could I let you do it yourself? Su Yanbing toyed with her sweet water cup. She glanced at me with a faint look. Her gaze was ambiguous. The others completely couldn't understand the awkward tension. I finished pouring the wine. Then I looked at Lin Xinyao next to Wen Mumu. You didn't toast the big star with a drink. Lin Xinyao curved her lips. She smiled and picked up her glass, saying, I'm not the kind of person who lacks manners. When Lin Xinyao was toasting Lu Jinian, Su Yan looked at her coldly. If you want to drink, drink yourself. Then she looked at Lu Jinian. You don't have to pay attention to them. It's none of your business. Lu Jinian still raised his glass. I can drink. Qin Shiyue quickly followed suit and raised her glass to toast Lu Jinian. I'm also toasting the big star. Who wants to be the impolite one? Lu Jinian ended up drinking several glasses in a row. I returned to my seat and organized everyone to eat. Once again, the idea was focused on Su Yanbing. I still hadn't thought of an excuse. Su Yan coldly looked at the three people across from her. You're only toasting him like this. Is that polite? Implying that they should toast me again. This is clearly to take out anger on Lu Jinian. Lin Xinyao smiled and played with her sweet drink cup. They are the guests. It's fine for us to toast first. You invited us for dinner. You didn't toast to us first. You let us toast to the host first. Who is being rude here? I instantly wanted to give her a thumbs up. I glanced at Lu Jinian again. He didn't look good. It seems he is jealous. I immediately stepped in to help her out. I filled Lu Jinian's glass. I also filled my own glass. My wife and I toasted everyone together. Su Yanbing shot me a cold glance. I gave her a signal with my eyes. Seeing that she didn't move, I pinched her leg under the table. Su Yanbing's expression darkened instantaneously. She picked up her glass with a cold face. Even though she has a good tolerance for alcohol, watching her drink, I didn't care about them anymore. I just focused on eating. To prevent Su Yanbing from having the chance to boss me around, I completely avoided those dishes like hairy crabs and lobsters that require hands-on service. I completely avoided them. Su Yanbing watched me eat happily. She looked quite displeased. From time to time, she shot me a freezing glare. When she looked at me once again, I directly misunderstood her intention. Do you want to eat too? Following that, I picked up a piece of braised pork and shoved it into her mouth. In the next second, I saw this woman who has a cleanliness obsession looking even more displeased. I couldn't be more pleased inside. I took another look at Lu Jinian. He continued to drink a glass of wine on his own. After dinner, when Mumu and the others still wanted to sing and keep playing, they were ruthlessly chased away by Su Yanbing. I also wanted to leave, so I picked up my phone to take a look. I made up an excuse to head back. My mom said there was an urgent matter at home. She said I should return for a while. I'll make a call to ask what's going on. I walked out while on the phone. I left the hall to Su Yanbing and Lu Jinian. But just as I was about to step out of the hall, I heard Su Yanbing's warning. 5 minutes. If I don't see you in 5 minutes, today will be your last good day. I was so angry I gritted my teeth. This woman doesn't care about her own man. Why is she thinking about me? Lu Jinian, who was standing next to her, looked at Su Yanbing with a dazed expression. He was clearly drunk. Su Yanbing glanced at her watch. Then she looked at Lu Jinian. I'll have your assistant come pick you up. After saying that, she took out her phone. While searching for the number, Lu Jinian suddenly stood up. He knocked her phone out of her hand onto the floor. Sister Yanbing, can I stay? Su Yanbing frowned and created some distance. She said coldly, then let my assistant keep you company. Lu Jinian shook his head. I don't want her to keep me company. Su Yanbing's beautiful brows furrowed even deeper. Lu Jinian reached out and grabbed the fabric at her waist. Do you have a crush on Haoming? If you really like him, I've waited for you for so many years. On the other side, I called the agency from the door. The reply I got was 10. Only 3 people registered individually. 2 men and 1 woman. I was a bit surprised. The newcomers have such high standards. But it doesn't matter, I'll contact them first thing. It's because they are artists from our own company. I want to give them a chance to showcase their talents. I got the contact information of those who are willing to come. I turned around to check the situation at home. I saw the 2 of them had intimate physical contact. Such close proximity. Lu Jinian was still holding onto her clothes. What else can they do face to face except kiss? Is the next step to carry her back to the room? Alcohol is indeed a good thing. I couldn't help but smile. It's just a pity it's too far away. I can't hear anything. I was watching intently. Su Yanbing suddenly turned around to look at me. I jumped. Have you seen enough? If you've seen enough, why don't you come over here? I was a bit speechless. Doing such things while still keeping an eye on things. Why are you calling me over? I reluctantly walked over. Su Yanbing had a blank expression. What about the hand? I gritted my teeth and smiled as I picked up the phone and handed it to her. Su Yanbing shoved the drunk Lu Jinian toward me. Gu Haoming. He's sleeping with you tonight. Upon hearing this, I felt like I had been struck by lightning. You want him to sleep with me? Are you not afraid I might harm him? Su Yanbing directly turned and went upstairs. Not even looking back. Not even glancing back, she left. He drank. You just go along with him. I gritted my teeth and glared at her. Let him sleep with you. Wouldn't it be better if the 3 of us just lived well? Only then did Su Yanbing stop in her tracks. Looking back, there's a sharpness that feels like it would slice me into 1,000 pieces. I was completely stunned. I was so generous to let them sleep together. Shouldn't she be happy? Su Yanbing slammed the door shut. I had no choice but to help Lu Jinian back to my room. Lu Jinian held onto me tightly. He mistook me for Su Yanbing. Sister Yanbing, I like you. I recorded a voice message and sent it to Su Yanbing. I intended to stoke the fire in their relationship. In the end, I shot myself in the foot. Su Yanbing replied immediately. Are you that idle? Did you post in your circle of friends today? I see you're quite good at complimenting women. A 500-word compliment should be no problem. I grit my teeth and praised as in the novel. I replicated the template of a woman's appearance. And added some spicy words to tempt him. Your face is like a masterpiece of divine craftsmanship. So perfect it makes even the heavens jealous. You're like a set of 4-3, beautiful in your own way. Everything in the Pacific is the saliva I've lost for you. Can you please stop stealing my soul? After sending that message, I angrily turned off my phone. Then I saw Lu Jinian's fair face. His delicate face leaned in towards me. I glanced at him and couldn't help but sigh. No wonder he's a popular male star. His face is even more beautiful than most beauties. His skin seems like it could be squeezed for water. TCH. Lu Jinian murmured to himself. The look in his eyes was incredibly dreamy. I liked you from the very first moment I saw you. I really like you a lot. After saying that, he puckered his lips and leaned in to kiss me. Hey. Lu Jinian, what are you doing? Just when I was at a loss. At that moment, Su Qingyan from the second floor opened the door and walked out. Ji Yu Haoming. You just. She hadn't finished her sentence when she froze in place.